Hi, this is Stuart, and I'm talking to you today about the project initiation document for Project 4. That document is something that's intended to help you and your small group partners in Project 4 plan out the way the rest of that project's going to go. Project initiation documents go by a number of different names, sometimes project proposals, project plans, project charters. The points of these kinds of documents is to make sure that everybody understands, both the people on your team and in many cases clients, understand what is going to be done in a particular project. This is important for technical writers. They often have to make very clear what kind of written document they're being asked to make or what kind of video, and they have to set that out in writing to begin with. Partially because sometimes clients change their minds, and you need to have some sort of document that said, no, you asked for these things. Now within this project, the project initiation document is meant to be a way for you and your partners to figure out what kind of information you need, what kind of resources do you need to get that information and to do other things like the document design, and who is going to do what to distribute assignments fairly. The document should have roughly 4 parts. There's an intro, which I will talk about in another document. Then the big parts. One is the proposed project. What are you going to document? What's the software? What's the particular set of tasks that you're going to document? And this is where I'd like a flow chart to show me what is it that you're documenting, what steps are you trying to capture. A third thing is a rationale for the project. Why is this procedure important? Why should OCC want this procedure on its website? And then finally, what I'd like to see is a project plan. Essentially, I want to be sure that you know and I know, everybody understands what people are going to do. So I'd like to see a list of what are the tasks and who's going to complete each one. Now, since I'm asking for task analysis in this, let me show you a little bit about flowcharts. I'm not sure whether everybody knows about flowcharts. Flowcharts are essentially visuals that show how a series of steps usually get worked out. So for example, here you can see you start from, this is something simple like turning on a lamp. If the lamp doesn't work, you ask yourself a question, and notice that questions here come in. These are decisions. They come in diamonds. Is it plugged in? If no, well then you have a step. Plug it in. If yes, then you have another question. Is the bulb burned out? If it is, you get to a step, replace the bulb. If it's not, then you're going to have to repair the lamp itself. So there are all kinds of flowcharts out there. If you Googled flowcharts, you'd see a lot of them. As you can see, generally rectangles are things that you have to do. Click the button, double click. Diamonds are decisions that have to be made. Is something true or false? Then there are your yes or no's usually to that. And then you can see how each step is set out in a box and in order. Now flowcharts have particular, again, as you're seeing, different shapes have different meanings. This slide shows what those meanings might be. You may want to pause and look at that. You may also see at the bottom there's a URL, and you could find that the flowchart icons there. And also with creating flowcharts, if you're in Word, realize that you can create flowcharts. This is, I believe, Word 2010, or maybe 2000, not 2010, I think. Notice that one of the options under insert is shapes, and some of the shapes that you can insert are flowcharts, flowchart shapes. So you can use Word to create a flowchart. You can also use OpenOffice, since we've been talking about open source software. OpenOffice Draw has charts. OpenOffice is a little different in that you have Writer, which is like Word, but then you also have OpenOffice Draw, and you have to draw things in the Draw program and then import the picture into Word, into the writing program. So here, these are some options, some hints about putting that flowchart together. Another thing that you're going to have to figure out for your planning is how to test your tutorial. Once you've written the tutorial that you're going to write, how do you know whether it works or not? And we'll have to talk about testing that. One of the links, I believe, in the folder for Wednesday, July 24th, is to Usability 101. Jacob Nielsen is a well-known expert in usability. Usability essentially means creating things so that lay people can use them. And Nielsen has a number of steps as one way to test usability. You find some users, you find people who have the same level of knowledge as you expect from your audience. You ask them to do a couple tasks, couple specific tasks, and then you watch them try to do that using your instructions. So for example, if I wanted to test my tutorial on how to create a flowchart in OpenOffice Draw and insert it, I might give someone a picture like this and say, I want you to create a flowchart that looks like this using OpenOffice Draw. And I would give them my instructions, and I would see whether they could create the flowchart using my instructions. And as I watch them, I'll probably see places where I'm not clear, places where they do things I wouldn't have expected. Also, I can confirm that certain things work well. So that's something that you need to plan. How are you going to find people to test your instructions with? Who's going to do the observing? What tasks are you going to give them? Also in planning, you need to figure out who's going to do what and when. So the odds are there are things like writing down the tasks as you're figuring out the procedure that you want to create a tutorial for. You need to keep a list of tasks so that you know what to document in your tutorial. So who's going to keep that? You're going to need screen capture. You're going to need images from the word process, well, whatever software you use. So who is going to capture those? Who's going to test again? You might want to have someone who manages versions of the tutorial. Are we working on a revised version or an older version? It's a good thing for a group to figure out how to work with versions of a tutorial. You might start this perhaps in Google Docs, for example, where you can all see it and all keep track of versions. At some point, though, you're probably going to have to move it to at least Word, if not another program to lay it out more carefully. Also, who's going to be the editor? Who's going to make sure it's accurate, that things are written clearly? And of course, there's the when. And so what I would ask is that you might put things together sort of on a day-by-day basis, especially laying out next week. What I'm interested in is how the week 5 is going to go. So give me day by day, who's going to do what kind of tasks are going to get done. So remember, the whole purpose of this kind of document is it's almost like a contract. It's like a promise to your small group partners so that you understand what you're going to do, who's going to do it, and it's a way to try to minimize the kind of miscommunication that can make a project difficult. So I will look forward to reading these soon. As always, contact me if you have questions.